Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my sister for telling my girlfriend about our family's wealth? My family's low-key wealthy, but my parents have made sure that we are never flashy about it. We live in the same place we've lived for about 15 years, don't have flashy clothes and cars, and generally make sure we're spending money on experiences rather than objects. Cue my younger sister, who is totally spoiled, and for some reason feels extremely entitled to her share of the wealth. She just turned 21, and I think part of it is her finally getting information about her trust and in general how we stand. I'm 25 and the older one, so I sorta know about all this for a while now. Anyway, long story short, my sister ended up going car shopping with my girlfriend for expensive new cars, Porsches. My dad had not approved anything, so I don't know what she's going to do. But apparently she flashed my dad's credit card and talked up the salesman about how much money she has to spend. My girlfriend was shocked that me driving a simple, unassuming 10-year-old Lexus will have a sister throwing $100,000 at a car. We had a huge discussion and ended up fighting about it. She was shocked at roughly how much money we had, and told me I was a tad selfish for not mentioning it when she had college and medical debt. Honestly, we've only been dating for 2 years, and I was thinking after about a year I would propose if things are going well and start this discussion. This all happened a little too soon. I'm really mad at my sister and kinda laid it out on her. Told her how immature and selfish she was, and how she's undoing everything our parents worked hard for to install values in us. She told me I had to grow up and that I'm a wet blanket. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The biggest a-hole here is your girlfriend for assuming that because you come from a wealthy family you're obligated to pay off her debt. Is this really the kind of person you want to have a relationship with? Yeah, that kinda caught me off guard. Could be a red flag, but coming from another thought place, maybe she just got caught off guard. If y'all have talked about her struggling with money, maybe feels that conversations you've had were insincere in some way due to you being extremely wealthy and not able to really relate to her problems. Your parents' money has nothing and will never have anything to do with her college and medical debt. That was a strange thing for her to say. I don't get why people would be mad at not being told about wealth. Are they equally as mad about not being told of a family debt? I'm blown away that she thinks she's entitled to it. I was thinking the same. It's telling that the fact that her knowing that you have access to money equals her debts being paid. The only reason you should disclose an aspect of your finances with anyone is if they are contributing to them, for business purposes or because you are combining household finances. Why would you need to know how much money you have? Sorry, she wants you to pay off her debt? Just because your family's wealthy? The audacity and entitlement she has. Not they all OP. Yours and your family finances are really none of her business unless y'all get married. Yeah, but I guess if my parents are okay, they're not. With my sister spending $100,000 on a car, her $20,000 medical debt seems quite small. But your girlfriend is not your parents' kid nor their responsibility. Yeah, it sucks for your girlfriend and your sister sounds spoiled, but your girlfriend isn't their family and are under no obligation to take care of her. I would be mortified and would rather die than to throw a fit over my wealthy boyfriend not paying my debt. Especially if it's only been 2 years and you all aren't even engaged. And like you said, your parents aren't okay with your sister buying that expensive a car. Why would they be okay dropping thousands on someone not their priority? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I'm not surprised she doesn't have a friend? Plus a little update. So I recently moved to my home country for college, and recently found out my 10-year-old sister did something that I'm pretty upset about. So my family had a party for me before I left, and near the end I noticed that my Nintendo Switch and its games were gone. I found it in my sister's room and packed it and went to sleep to get ready to go to the airport. The flight and everything else went fine, and while I was unpacking my stuff, I noticed I couldn't find my Nintendo Switch or any of its games. I was really confused, as I distinctly remembered putting it in my suitcase. I called my mom and she explained that my sister had taken the games and my Switch in the middle of the night and hid it so she could have it. My mom didn't know until it was too late, and just grounded my sister from candy for a week. I am fuming. The Switch was given to me by a friend, and all the games were either gifts or I paid for them. And now my mom thinks it's completely okay to let my sister take something that is mine. When I told her this, she said I was being melodramatic and territorial, and to let my sister have it. The next week, my sister called me and was being a snot-face about the whole thing, saying stuff like, "How does it feel to know you have to ask me to play games now?" I told her that she is an entitled brat and told her, "I'm not surprised you still don't have a friend." My sister was shocked and hung up the phone. She has been having trouble making friends for a while now and told me I'm a jerk. I'll admit, I went too far, but I don't disagree with calling her out and doing that. My sister has never done anything like this, and my siblings and parents are telling me I'm an a-hole and telling me to apologize and let her keep it. I'm conflicted and need to know if I'm in the wrong because I feel bad and need to know if I'm the entitled brat. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. My entire family isn't letting me talk to her until I say it belongs to her. Wait. Your sister effectively steals your Switch, phones you to brag about said theft, and somehow your mother thinks you're the a-hole for snapping back? Yeah, no, that's not how it works. No wonder your sister is struggling to make friends. Hard not the a-hole. Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking. Opie's sister stole from Opie and mom was like, I didn't give her any candy. She is just a kid. Leave it. What the heck is wrong with her? Correct their mistake. Opie's sister doesn't have any remorse about her actions. I also agree with not the a-hole. Opie's mom is going to look like shocked Pikachu when she never comes home from school again. Not the a-hole. Set up a conference call including your mother and a friend who gave you the Switch, and ask your mother to explain to your friend why she's letting your sister keep the gift that the friend gave you, rather than packing it up and mailing it to you. After all, you will have to explain why you don't have it when they talk to you and ask if you are enjoying their gift. Right now, the easy thing for your mother is to let your sister keep it, rather than dealing with the trouble of mailing it, or your sister's complaints when it is gone since she is there to complain in person. The embarrassment of the accountability to the person who spent the money for this may be motivating. That is a great idea. Let me try to set this up. Does your friend live near your parents? Is it possible for you to ask them to pick it up and pay them to mail it to you? I would do this if I hated my friend. My entire family would go ape on him and send him hateful messages, and he has no way of coming in without being caught. Edit. Thank you all for the support. I now realize I've been manipulated, gaslighted, and emotionally mistreated by my entire family for years. I'll make an update post on what happens. And yes, I am involving the police. I can't tell you all how grateful I am to finally grow a spine and stop making excuses for their toxic BS. Thank you all. Update. Well, the basic rundown is that my sister apologized after Joy, my cousin, told her what she did was wrong, and forgave me and gave my stuff to Joy to mail back. I reported theft to the police, and my entire family has been calling me and Joy homophobic slurs and screaming at us through calls. So is no contact for both of us. I'll try to keep you all updated on what happens next. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my mom find out about my pregnancy through Facebook? My mom has always been a difficult person. In the past, we have had a lot of struggles with her control issues and need to be the center of attention. 2 years ago, my sister was pregnant with a baby girl that she wanted for a long time. Due to a previous miscarriage, she told the immediate family but wanted to wait to make a public announcement for another month to be safe. My mom decided that she needed to tell everyone, and when my sister said that she'd rather wait, my mom posted the announcement on Facebook anyways. My sister had no idea until the congratulations text started coming in. She was devastated. I didn't speak to my mother for a long time. My mom never apologized or admits she did anything wrong and said it was her news to share too since she was becoming a grandma. Flash forward to now and I'm expecting. We wanted to wait until we were in a better place medically before making an announcement. Fortunately, we were able to keep it to ourselves for a while. When we started telling the family, we called everyone individually to tell them the news and to keep it private since we were making a public announcement later. I know this may have been petty, but I didn't call my mom. Every time I think about what happened with my sister, it still fills me with rage, and I had no desire to give her the satisfaction of taking away that experience again. So we made a public announcement without telling her beforehand. Naturally, she called us screaming when she found out, telling my husband and I how selfish we were and how we didn't care about family since she found out through Facebook. This didn't come as a huge shock. However, I keep getting calls and texts from extended family saying that I need to apologize and I'm punishing my mom for being excited about her grandchildren. I refuse to apologize, and I feel justified because of her past behavior. The rest of the family is saying I should apologize and smooth it over with her. Am I being petty? Am I the a-hole? Added to add, this is not the first time she's ruined someone's news. When my brother told the family he eloped, she told him that he made a family look classless and asked him what her friends were supposed to think. I truly don't think there's any way that she would have been happy if she didn't get to share the news in her own way first. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You taught your mother a lesson she should have learned a long time ago. Actions have consequences. And if she keeps giving you a hard time, tell her the same thing will happen when the baby is born. She will get the news on Facebook. Or give her the non-apology. I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to ruin my announcement like you did with sister. I'm proud of Opie for learning this lesson. My mom shared news of my pregnancy to her church group before I had even told any of my friends, because it didn't count since they were praying for me. Then stupid me, I texted all the grandparents to announce the birth and waited 10 minutes to be sure they had all seen it before telling anyone else. But I didn't swear them to absolute secrecy. So my mom texted all my siblings before I had a chance to do it myself. I was so mad, but Grandma was just excited. So OP, congrats on being smarter than me. Keep up the good work when baby is born. Who cares if she's pissed off? Not stay home. Yes, you were being petty, but in my opinion, totally justified here. She doesn't respect your or your sister's boundaries and requests. Why respect hers? Not stay home. Your mom has demonstrated she's not a safe person to share information with until you're good and ready to share it publicly. If she's upset about that, she needs to reflect on what she's done to damage your trust and what she can do in future to make amends. Not make it about her and her hurt feelings and what she thinks she's entitled to. Make note of the family members who are taking her side, or have at least decided it's easier not to upset her than to respect your wishes, and make sure they don't get any private baby photos or updates either. I think Grandma's demonstrated she isn't a safe person, period. She found out her daughter was pregnant, and her first reaction was rage that she didn't get to share this news. It tells me her first reaction is always going to be think of herself and her desires, not of you or your child. Continuing to have her in your life is going to be a constant battle to get her to respect even the most basic of boundaries. This type loves the battle because it keeps your attention focused on them, and your life circulates around them and their drama. Only you can decide if constant battle is worth what she brings to your life and will bring to your child. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for making my wife think our son was missing? My wife has a horrible habit that I discovered 2 months ago. We were ordering lunch on the Subway app, and I told her to pick the location that has a drive-thru. That way we don't have to go inside and take the baby out of the car just to clip him back in a few minutes later. She told me it's not a big deal to leave the baby in the car to run in and pick it up really fast. I had no idea she ever did this. I told her I was not comfortable with her leaving him in the car alone even for a minute, and she told me she's been doing it since he was born and has always been fine. She told me she does it to pick up food, run into the post office or pharmacy, etc. I was floored. We don't live in a horrible area, but it's also not super safe either. I told her to not ever do this again. She told me she never stopped to think about the potential dangers and that she would stop doing it. Well, yesterday as I was driving home from my brother's house, I spotted her car at the gas station near our place. It was parked in a spot up front and not a pump, so I figured she stopped in to grab some snacks, which we like to do. I decided to stop and go in, and say hi and get some food, and I pulled in and parked next to her. However, when I got there, I was furious to find our son in his car seat. The car wasn't even locked. I don't know what came over me, but in that moment, I decided to take my son and put him into my car. He's got a car seat in there too. I then drove to the other side of the gas station parking lot and waited for my wife to come out. It took 6 minutes for her to appear. When she saw that he was gone, she looked stunned for a second, and then started to frantically look around and cry. I didn't let it go on long. After this, I saw her pull her phone out, presumably to call 911, and that's when I pulled my car around to her. I parked, got out, and walked around to my son's door and opened it to show him to her. She looked extremely relieved, but that quickly turned to anger with her asking me why I took him and did that to her. I told her she needed to learn her lesson, and that she promised to stop leaving him in the car, and that she was extremely irresponsible. It was so easy for me to pull up and take him. No one else at the gas station even noticed. So if he really was taken, there would have been no help, and it would have been 100% her fault. She proceeded to call me cruel and psychotic and tried taking our son out of my car into hers. I said no and that I would be driving him home, and I left. She came home not much later but ignored me the rest of the day. She acknowledged me today, saying she wanted an apology, but I said absolutely not, and she's the one who should be saying sorry. She's been guilt-tripping me the rest of the day, saying no mother should experience the fear I put her through. Did I go too far? Am I the a-hole? Normally, I'm fully against game playing, but this is your child's life. I support your actions. Your wife is being hugely neglectful. Not to mention, it'll be warm soon, and being left in a hot car even for a few minutes can be deadly. Not the a-hole, and I wouldn't let her take him anywhere until she apologizes. I guess I should clarify that the car was running with the air on. I forgot to add that detail and was restricted by the character limit, but the car was on. It's a push to start car with a sensor for the key fob, so it'll stay on/running as long as you are close enough to the vehicle. I didn't see the keys in the car, so she took them inside with her, but didn't lock it. Well, that just brings up different safety issues. Seriously, your wife is 100% wrong. I'm a mom and my kid is 18. I still remember when I fell asleep driving with him on the Los Angeles freeway for half a second when he was an infant, and I was an exhausted new parent, and I shudder and cringe every time. Nothing happened, and I still wish I could take it back. Your wife must stop doing this. This is so unsafe. Even if nothing happens, all it takes is one concerned citizen to call the police about a baby left in the car to get CPS knocking at your door. And that's a mess you really don't want to deal with. Am I the a-hole for not supporting my sister after our niece/her stepdaughter talked badly about her publicly? The title might be confusing, so let me explain. All names are fake, by the way. I have two sisters. Jenna, 38 female, is the oldest, and Kate, 36 female, is the middle. I'm 28 female, the youngest of the girls in our family. Together they had Belle, 16 female, Kai, 14 male, and Soren, 13 male. When the kids were younger, Jenna discovered that Kate and Joe were having an affair. She kicked Joe out and cut off all contact with Kate from that day forward. The kids were all at least somewhat aware of the fact that their dad and Aunt Kate were together too soon for it to not have started when he was married to their mom. It ruined Kate's relationship with the kids. They were close before. Jenna was always glad that the kids sided with her and didn't start treating Kate like a second mom. Kate and Joe eventually got married, and Kate tried to act like she was now just a stepmom to the kids, or more like a second mom. I sided with Jenna and made it clear to Kate that I thought she and Joe were completely in the wrong. Even if they hadn't betrayed Jenna, which they did, they made life so much more complicated for the kids. Of all the kids, Belle is the most vocal and clearly against Kate. She has told Kate that she hates her and has made it her mission to make Kate's life difficult every time she's with her and Joe. She doesn't ignore the fact that her dad is also to blame, but he seems far less interested in healing his relationship with his kids. However, Kate cares a lot, from what I've been told. I don't really see or speak to her anymore, but I'm close with the kids, and other family members occasionally see them together. Anyway, Belle has really been making things hard for Kate, which bothers her. Until recently, Kate thought she could win them over, but then she found out that Belle had publicly shared with friends, their parents, people at school, and people in Kate's life who she works with, that Kate and Joe had an affair and that she and Jen are sisters. People have turned on Kate, which has affected her socially and at work, where she's now being snubbed more often. Kate was hurt and tried to come to me for comfort and advice on what to do about Belle. I told her she should talk to our brothers, 33 male and 30 male, or someone who actually supports her. I explained that I wouldn't be able to give her any good or helpful advice, and that she's just dealing with the consequences of what she did to our sister. She told me I could still be a better sister to her instead of refusing to offer support, and that no matter what, we're still sisters and she did nothing to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Unfortunately, Kate fooled around and found out that anyone in your family still talks to her is very compassionate and forgiving. Have either Kate or the husband tried to reconcile with the family and apologize for their dastardly behavior? Kate could seek counsel from a therapist or a pastor, or literally anyone outside of the family. To claim that she has done nothing to you so you should support her shows she doesn't understand the severity of her actions nor how it has impacted the entire family. There was never an apology. Joe never cared enough about the consequences to make one. Kate did care a certain amount, but more so I think about the consequences to her than the hurt caused. The fact that she lost the respect and love of the kids was a big thing. But also she lost me, Jenna, and our parents mostly. Our brothers talk to her the most, but even they don't have a close relationship with Kate anymore. When Kate wants you to be a better sister to her because she didn't do anything to hurt you, respond with, "You haven't done anything to hurt me yet. The future is open and you have proven that you can do it." She did do something to hurt Opie. Any compassionate sister/aunt would be hurt having to watch the devastation Kate caused to Jenna and her kids. What to do? Don't sleep with married men. Not the a-hole. Especially your sister's husband and the father to your niece and nephews. Not the a-hole. Hilarious of her to ask you to be a better sister after what she did to Jenna. She's reaping the consequences of her own actions. She needs to take her L and live with it. She decided sleeping with her sister's husband was worth losing everything and everyone, so I don't know why she's so confused now. Honestly, I think she believed she would fare better than most affair partners because the kids already loved and had a relationship with her, and it would take away 99% of the consequences that come as a result. I also don't think she expected so many family members to completely turn their back on her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not being friendly with my partner's daughters now that they've warmed up to me? I'm 42 and I'm dating Tim, who's 59 and a widower. He's in banking and I'm a bartender. I know how it might look and his two daughters thought the same thing. But they're wrong. Tim's actually broke, while I have a trust fund. Tim's financial situation stems from his late wife's battle with cancer. She fought it 3 times, and he maxed out 6 credit cards, took out a second mortgage, cashed out his retirement, everything he could to fund her treatment. He wanted her to live long enough to see both their daughters married, and he succeeded in that. His daughters live a 6-hour drive away. For the past 2 years, we've driven to see them for Christmas. Each time, they ignored me, dragged Tim away whenever he tried to include me, and even talked over to me to keep their husbands from making small talk. The first year, Tim confronted them, and they apologized. To him, not to me, saying it was just painful seeing him with someone who wasn't their mom. The next year, they did it again. This year, I told Tim I wasn't going. I made it clear he should absolutely go see his daughters, but I wouldn't be going along. Tim wasn't thrilled with the idea because having me there means we can split driving duties when his back starts bothering him. He also hates flying. Since his old 2010 car is practically falling apart, I leased him a comfortable luxury vehicle. My brother has a dealership. Tim was excited, especially because it meant he'd be able to see his daughters more often without worrying about his back. But when he told them, they blew up, accusing him of spending their mother's money on a fancy house and car to impress some bimbo bartender, and complaining he didn't help with their wedding costs. In the argument that followed, it came out that they assumed there was a life insurance policy payout. They had no idea about the credit card debt, the second mortgage, or that Tim nearly faced foreclosure and bankruptcy until he moved in with me. They also didn't realize that my house covers our expenses and that he only contributes to the water bill. He takes excessively long showers and shared groceries. Now the daughters want my number, saying they're sorry I felt lonely at Christmas. They also want to come visit us next year, conveniently in the summer since I live near the beach. I've told Tim I'm absolutely not giving out my number. If they visit to see him, I'll be polite, but we are not going to be friends. If they had talked to me for even 2 seconds before, they would have known the truth. I'm not shy about admitting that the only thing I've ever done to maintain my financial state is not develop a crippling coke addiction like my cousin Danny did. Tim thinks I'm being too unforgiving. He believes they would have warmed up to me eventually, and that knowing now how generous I am with their father just sped things up. I stand firm that I don't care whether it's now or later. They had their chance to not be catty brats based on incorrect assumptions that I was taking advantage of him. Info: did your partner ever do anything to correct these assumptions, or was he keeping up the lie to save face? Yes and no. Yes, because I don't believe Tim had any idea the girls weren't aware that it's my house. I've heard him refer to it as my house to the girls. I also heard him tell them I worked as a bartender for fun, that I don't need to work. No, because Tim is 1, prideful, and 2, protective of them. He shielded them from what was going on behind the scenes, so that they could spend as much time with their dying mother without being worried about him. I know he mentioned some things about the move, helping him when he first told them he was moving in with me, but the argument was the first time he actually laid everything out to them in no uncertain terms about the house and the debt, and cashed out 401k, etc. I'm probably giving him the benefit of the doubt because I love him, but I think he thought they would figure things out without him having to spell it out, and that their coldness to me was solely because I'm not their mom, and they miss her so much. Not the a-hole. You don't owe them a damn thing. That being said, there is kids, and you gotta consider that if you don't extend an olive branch, that means he will be pulled in the middle and eventually push will come to shove. Is that something you're comfortable with? You make a good point, and I don't know. Right now, I'm like, sure, I can go back to doing my own Christmas with my cast of characters. Did that for years before Tim and I got together. But what happens with birthdays? His 60th is coming up. That's a biggie. What happens when the girls have kids and he wants to go there more often? I'd asked him to move in with me so he'd have less stress in life, not more. Don't let them come visit in the summer. They want free accommodations near a beach. That's a privilege that has to be earned after at least 2 to 3 years of treating you right. Let them visit, but don't let them stay in your house. They can get a hotel that they can pay for themselves. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my parents live with me after they loaned me money to buy my house? About a year ago, I, 29 male, bought my first home. My parents generously offered me $20,000 toward a down payment, which they framed as a gift. I was extremely grateful, as they knew I'd been saving for years and wanted a place to call my own. I even invited them to celebrate with me the day I got the keys, and everything seemed fine. Fast forward to 3 months ago. My dad unexpectedly lost his job, and my mom's part-time work isn't enough to support them. They called me up one day and casually mentioned that they'd be moving in with me until they get back on their feet. I was stunned, as they hadn't asked. They just assumed. When I hesitated, they reminded me of the $20,000 they'd given me for the house, and said it was time I paid them back by helping them out. This was news to me. They'd repeatedly assured me it was a gift, no strings attached, and that they were just happy to help me achieve my dream of home ownership. Now they were calling it a loan, even though there was never any mention of repayment, interest, or expectations of them moving in someday. I was hesitant but willing to talk about it, and I suggested they stay temporarily. They dismissed this and said they'd be moving in indefinitely until things turn around, adding that they'd expect full access to the house, and even suggested taking over my office as their bedroom. They also told me they'd like more say in how I run my home. After all, they helped pay for it. Feeling cornered, I explained that while I love them and would gladly help in other ways, like covering some of their bills temporarily or letting them stay for a set period, I wasn't comfortable with them moving in indefinitely. This is my home, my sanctuary, and I've worked hard for it. They were furious, saying I was ungrateful and that family should support each other. They also claimed that since they invested in the house, they're entitled to live in it as long as they need. My dad even hinted he'd take me to court if I didn't pay back their loan, though I am fairly certain he was bluffing. Now, several family members have weighed in, saying I'm the a-hole for turning back on my parents after they helped me buy my house. But I feel like they changed the terms after the fact, and I don't think it's fair to demand indefinite housing when that was never part of the deal. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to let my parents move in after they loaned me the down payment? Now for the comment. If I was in your shoes, I would take out a loan for what they gave you and hand the money to them. Tell them you are done and walk away. I've actually been considering that exact option. It's frustrating because they originally insisted the money was a gift. But if paying them back fully will restore boundaries, it might be worth it. I'd have to adjust my budget and take on extra debt. But honestly, that feels like a better solution than constantly having to defend my space or argue over my independence. Thank you. Don't let them move in. Do not let them move in. You will regret it. They will never leave. Think about it. Always there, changing your home until it's theirs. Until you get so fed up you'll want to pack and leave. They gave you the money as a gift, and now they mismanage their finances or reframing it, as in lying that they invested in your home. BS. Don't let them move in. Not the a-hole. Thank you for this. Honestly, your perspective has helped reinforce what I was already feeling deep down. You're right. This is my home, and it's somewhere I worked hard to make my own. I've been nervous that letting them move in would mean losing all sense of control over the space I've built. It's already overwhelming knowing they're insisting on things like taking over my office, and I'm genuinely worried they'd try to change even more. The fact that they're reframing the money as an investment after saying it was a gift has thrown me. It feels manipulative. And while I want to help them in ways that make sense, moving in indefinitely isn't the answer. Thanks for backing me up on this. I needed a reminder that setting boundaries doesn't make me a bad son. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister's kid with a family friend after she was hours late picking him up? I, 36 male, agreed to babysit my sister's son, 8 male, last Friday night so she could go to a friend's event. She said she'd be back early Saturday morning, and I was happy to help. I even planned some activities for us before she came by, since I don't often get to spend time with my nephew. Saturday morning rolled around, and by 9 a.m. she hadn't shown up. I texted her, and she replied that she was on her way, so I didn't worry. We had breakfast, hung out, and waited around until about 11 a.m. I texted her again, mentioning that I had plans at 3 p.m., and she replied with, "Be there soon." By 1 p.m., I started getting anxious because I still hadn't heard anything more. I tried calling, but she didn't answer. I left a voicemail reminding her I had plans later in the afternoon and needed her to let me know her estimated time of arrival. By 2:30, I was really stressing. I had been planning to leave by then to get to my friend's party, but she still hadn't shown up or answered her phone. Finally, around 3:30, after calling and texting with no response, I reached out to a family friend who lives in my building. She's known my family for years, and my nephew and sister know her well, so I knew he'd be comfortable and safe. The family friend was happy to help. So I explained the situation and left my nephew with her, giving her my sister's contact info in case anything came up. When my sister finally picked up her son at 5 p.m., she was furious. She accused me of abandoning him, saying I'd had one job and should have waited. I explained that she'd promised to be back in the morning, then ignored my texts and calls. I also told her I'd left him with someone we all trusted. She said I should have sacrificed my plans, even if it meant waiting all day since family comes first. I feel guilty for leaving him, but I was hours late to my own event and frustrated by her lack of communication. Am I the a-hole for not waiting for her to show up and leaving my nephew with a trusted family friend? Not the a-hole. The child's mother wasn't there at the predetermined time. If she was willing to actually get in contact with you and be upfront about the actual arrival time, she could have had a say in where her child will be spending the remainder of the time. Definitely not the a-hole. She should have been more responsible. I'd like to believe this is fake, because it's ridiculous to think anyone would behave like this. But these days, it seems pretty likely. Of course you're not the a-hole, and I guess sis will need to find a new sitter because I would never be willing to help her out again. My niece would do this stupid stuff with her kid. She did it to me once. I called her phone every 5 minutes until she finally came and got her. Nobody would babysit for her because of it. and her daughter was still an infant. That's how quickly she burned her bridges. Am I the a-hole for outing my ex as gay to get his mother off my back? It's a long and sucky story. But my 25 female soon-to-be ex 28 male is gay and hid that from me. I found out because I caught him cheating, and he as much as admitted that he knew he wasn't attracted to me that way, but he wanted kids and a normal life. I don't care that he's gay, but I will never forgive him for leading me on so he could use me to have kids. So it's over. End of story. The problem is that his family are fundamentalist nutjobs except for a few members, and his mother is the interfering mother-in-law from hell. Not being related to her anymore is another plus to leaving. His family doesn't believe in divorce, so under the guise of picking up some paperwork and other items I had found that were my ex's, she courted me about how I'm being childish, and that marriage is about commitment, forgiveness, and working through problems, etc. It became apparent that my ex didn't tell his family that he cheated. He told his mom that I was divorcing him because we weren't being intimate often enough for me. I tried to be patient and explained that he had cheated, and that's why. I wasn't going to go into greater detail because I know how his parents are, and it's none of their business. Mother-in-law's advice? I kid you not. Was that men are just that way. And if I wanted to have intimacy more and for him not to stray, that I should make myself more attractive to my husband and be a better wife. I lost the plot completely. It had been a sad and hard day already, and that was the last straw. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I told her that the only thing that would make me more attractive to my ex would be a sex change operation, and that I hoped he and his boyfriend adopted her some grandchildren, so she could finally shut the hell up about it. Not my finest moment, but she just hit the worst and rawest nerve she could have, and I exploded. It's evidently turned into a huge family drama. He's probably going to be disowned, and my ex called sobbing that I've ruined his life out of spite. I don't really know how to feel about it. I do feel bad for him that his parents are such awful people, and there were just no good outcomes for him. But I also feel like he made his own bed here too. Edit. A couple things from comments. 1. There is almost no chance of violence. His family are fundies, but not violent ones. They're more of the Mormon shunning type. One of his cousins came out and left the church. And after the initial protests, they all just stopped talking to him and basically treated him as if he were dead until he was ready to repent or whatever. They're passive-aggressive, repressed, and weird as all get out, but the chances of anyone physically hurting him are extremely low. He's not financially dependent on them and has a more than decent job, so he can support himself easily if they kick him out. 2. He's known he was gay since before he met me, so this wasn't a new discovery or admission to himself. He has a boyfriend that has been dating since 6 months before we were married. I went through his computer after catching them in the act and kicking him out, and found messenger logs and other evidence going back to before he started dating me. He literally set this up so he could have the nice Mormon family in the surface to keep his family happy. That's it. Never loved me at all. I was just the first girl to express a sustained interest. Now for the top comments. Probably unpopular opinion, but not the a-hole. We got pushed into a corner and blamed for the demise of their relationship, which was ultimately because of his dishonesty. You didn't do it maliciously. Also, he wasted years of your life for selfish reasons, and I personally could never forgive that. Opie was being constantly harassed, blamed, and basically defamed because her ex blamed her for everything. It wasn't malicious to out him, and he should have taken more accountability for his role in all this. The fact he plainly stated that he only married her to have a kid is beyond disturbing. It automatically makes him the a-hole, no question asked. You do not dehumanize a person and treat them as a breeding animal for your own purposes because of your hidden sexuality. Inexcusable. I think this is where I am. All he had to do was tell his family it wasn't working and they made their decision. Instead, he let them drag her to save himself. I think I agree too. This is one of those situations where I could imagine kinder ways for the OP to have handled the situation, like warning her ex in no uncertain terms to get his family off her back before telling them the truth. And even that is assuming he wouldn't just preemptively make up worse lies about her. But in the real world, I can't really fault her for just defending herself in the moment. It sucks that his family is intolerant, but that's not the OP's fault. It is also not her fault that she was in a position to feel like she had to defend herself. Her ex put her in that spot by trying to save face at her expense. Not the a-hole. Edited to add, a more controversial take, you could also consider the OP outing her ex as a huge favor to his next would-be incubator. It is a kind and greater good thing to try not to out a person as it can be physically dangerous, but he also hasn't really earned any kindness from you. He is the a-hole that A, cheated, and then B, lied about the reason why to his parents, leading to his mom harassing you. And is also the a-hole that was planning on essentially tricking you into a lifelong commitment, while he likely would have been cheating the whole time had he not gotten caught now. So yeah, you're not the a-hole. Yeah, he's been cheating on me for the entirety of our relationship. It as a boyfriend has been with longer than we'd been married. He literally intended to use me for kids and to keep his parents off his tail. And he made me feel like I was the reason we were having bedroom issues in the marriage, when it was him the entire time. See, that's really messed up and kind of emotionally abusive. And I have sympathy for people born into crappy families like that hinder their ability to live out their lives how they want. But he also just sounds like a trashy person regardless. He could have been honest with his parents and taken full accountability saying he cheated, living out with who. Then his mom might not have been harassing you. And people saying you ruined his life over a temporary situation? He would have taken up your whole life with a fake marriage and children, while cheating and manipulating you into thinking there was something wrong with you had he not gotten caught. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my ex's child support? This actually happened last night, but it has been bugging me since it happened. I feel like the a-hole, but I also don't. Long story short, I am separated from my soon-to-be ex-husband. We were together for 10 years, married for 6. We have been separated for about 2 months after it came to light that he was cheating on me with a 19-year-old and broke his 4-year sobriety. We have 2 small children, a 5-year-old and an 11-month-old. I also have an 11-year-old stepdaughter. My ex said his ex-wife's marriage was annulled before I ever came into the picture. For the entire time I was with my husband, he paid $900 a month in child support, sometimes even more. When my oldest was 2 weeks old, he gave his ex $3,000 because she was several months behind on rent. It was facing eviction. With my stepdaughter, it was always on us to get her new school clothes, supplies, shoes, etc. because her mother would just forget. Now with my husband just up and abandoning us, it has put me in a financial bind. I am on a fixed income/student stipend. It only received $1,300 a month. I have filed for child support through my state, but who knows when I'll begin receiving it. Last night, out of the blue, his ex messaged me. Apparently, when my husband abandoned us, he stopped paying his child support too. He has not paid for November, nor will probably pay for December either. His ex asked me to pay his back and current child support. She and her new partner have 1 child already, and she is expecting again. She told me how they were counting on that money to catch up on bills/take care of Christmas. I told her no, there is no way I can do that. I have my own 2 children to care for. I am barely surviving as it is. While my ex is still paying the mortgage, I am responsible for utilities and such. I can't help he has decided to not pay child support. She called me selfish, an a-hole, and accused me of not caring about my stepdaughter. Then threatened legal action to make me pay. At that point, I rolled my eyes and stopped responding. Part of me feels bad that I can't help her, because I know my stepdaughter is the one who will suffer. But part of me is like, well, tough luck, because both she and her partner work full-time. I'm a full-time student/stay-at-home mom, who was thrust into single motherhood by my ex having his midlife crisis and just screwing off. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, and do not pay. I understand it's an awful situation and you obviously care for your stepdaughter, but you can't provide for a child that is not your responsibility at the expense of your own children's well-being. Your husband's ex is trying to play on your emotions to manipulate you into making a decision that will put your little ones at risk for not being provided for. Don't fall for it. I can't. It just isn't happening. I can't even celebrate Christmas with my kids because every penny must be accounted for and I have bills to pay. I know she's trying to manipulate me, but it isn't happening. Paying child support is your soon-to-be ex-husband's responsibility, not yours. Block his ex so she can't contact you again. Not the a-hole. That child is not your responsibility. She needs to go after him for not paying the child support, not you. She can't go through the courts for that. That's the thing. If they need the money that bad, I would think she would use her lawyer or what have you to get her money. When my husband left, I applied for government assistance and had to provide his name and details to my caseworker, who did my SNAP/Medicaid interview. Legally, I would think it would be in her best interest to do what she can to get the child support she is owed for my stepdaughter. I cannot help he has decided not to pay. It sucks. I hate it. I'm struggling as it is to make sure my kids are taken care of. I can't take on this responsibility either. Not today, home. You have your own children to support right now. His child with a sex is his responsibility alone. However, it may be best for you to contact legal support and ensure you have no legal obligation due to being married, just to cover your bases. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my brother's wife a neglectful, financially irresponsible wife? My female 32 brother male 36 had a serious accident in his truck 4 years ago, resulting in him becoming disabled and wheelchair-bound. My sister-in-law, his wife, used to be a stay-at-home wife. She is currently handling his care and are essentially living off his social security benefits payments, which admittedly isn't a lot, but my parents pay for the house's mortgage, so there's enough money to get them by. My sister-in-law and I have never really gotten along, but we stay civil. However, my biggest argument with her happened days ago, when she told us she was going to pursue her old job again, to be able to earn money. My parents and I were confused. We asked how she is going to go back to work when she has my disabled brother to care for. She told us she is going to hire a carer to handle all my brother's needs, which triggered a very negative reaction in me and my parents. I told her she chose to become a stay-at-home wife, but she explained that circumstances changed and she had to go back to work she left years ago, to be able to provide for herself and my brother. And a carer is better qualified to care for my brother since she feels overwhelmed and exhausted. But I pointed out how a personal carer requires so much money, and that her new commitment of a job cannot be put before her husband. I told her it was a bad idea, but she argued that she is in this situation, not me, and she's trying to improve it while I'm just judging her from a distance. I told her she was wrong, since this is my brother we're talking about, and I help with the mortgage. So in response, I called her a neglectful, selfish, financially irresponsible wife for throwing money, my brother's money, away on a carer when it's unnecessary, and she is available, but she chose to go back to work. She acted shocked and lashed back at me, saying I shouldn't have called her those cruel things, and that I should show some empathy. I said I do have empathy for my brother and her too, but now that she's going to pay a carer using my brother's social security benefit, then I can't help but feel she's slowly checking out of her own marriage. She got highly offended that I questioned her love for my brother now that he's disabled, and left in a rush after calling me nuts and awful. My mom agreed partially with what I said, but told me I went out of line by calling her neglectful, especially since sister-in-law said she's wanting to go back to work to improve her living situation. But my dad is 100% on my side. Was I the a-hole, or was my reaction justified? Now for the judgment. Ooh boy, you're not going to enjoy this comment section. Yes, you're the a-hole. 1. Caregiver burnout is 100% real. Why not give your sister-in-law a break? And you care for your brother for a week, while she stays in a hotel. 2. She is probably trying to keep the marriage alive. Caring for somebody with disabilities is a lot like being a parent. It's not sexy. Breaking that dynamic by hiring a carer is probably the single best thing for their relationship. Not to mention increasing your brother's dignity. Did you ask what he thinks of this plan at any point? 3. Horrible as it sounds, permanently disabling injuries have a nasty tendency to reduce lifespan. Would you keep supporting your sister-in-law if your brother died? Does she know that? She needs a safety net, which means a job and a pension. Not your marriage, not your business, but to crack out. I actually really want an answer to number 3. If your brother passes away, will the financial support continue for the sister-in-law? If not, get the heck out of here. Also, what about if she hurts herself trying to move her husband? What will Opie do then? My sister messed up her back taking care of mom and she had help. What if she hurts the brother because she's not trained to care for serious disabilities? Hiring someone professionally trained seems like a great thing for the brother, as well as the sister-in-law, especially since the sister-in-law is willing to go back to work to help pay for the caregiver. Everyone is skimming over the fact that it's been 4 years. 4 years without help. God, this woman must be exhausted. Shame on you for judging her, Opie. You should be offering support instead of being such an A. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole on every level, Opie. How is your sister-in-law neglectful for being willing to pay for a medical professional to do something they're trained for? How is she neglectful for trying to add money to your brothers and her household? If you're so worried about them paying for your brother's care, I expect you or your mom to step up and take him in. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for stopping my ex from meeting our son and intentionally sabotaging my dad? My ex ended our engagement unexpectedly and I still don't know why. I was pregnant at a time and he completely disappeared. Nobody would tell me where he was despite our families being friends and having many mutual friends. Everyone kept claiming they had no idea where he was, which I know is a lie. Well, he decided to show his face again. My dad told me he would be coming to our house for dinner to discuss business, and that he wanted to meet our son. At first, I was furious, and I told him there was no way I would let him meet my son. But after many arguments, I pretended to give in. The day he was supposed to come, I took my son to a friend's house for the night. I wasn't planning to go back home for the dinner because I didn't want to see my ex, but my friend suggested I go so that I knew what was being said. I don't regret going, but it was a crap show. My dad was pissed at me for hiding my son from my ex, and my ex was pissed at my dad for not being able to deliver what he promised. My ex was also pissed at me and claimed I couldn't keep him away from his son. I told him pigs would fly before I let him near my son. After my ex left, my dad threatened to kick me out for sabotaging things for the family. And he kept calling me a stupid girl and asking me why I couldn't just listen to him for once. My brother sided with him too, which surprised me because he always takes my side normally. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole and get away from these crazy people as soon as you can. My God, the fact that your family knew where he was and wouldn't tell you? And that your father let him into your house after he abandoned you with a baby? No. And to add, the way this reads to me is that the grandfather, brother, and ex are using the baby as some sort of bargaining chip. It's odd how the grandfather phrased it and why he's even involved. This should only be between the two parents of the child, not the grandfather and Opie's brother. I think something more is going on. This is exactly how it reads to me. Why did your dad promise to your ex he could see your son? It sounds like your ex has been out of your child's life for years and suddenly wants to see him. It is very concerning your dad promised your ex could see your son in exchange for something, it sounds like. This is fishy. Your child is not a token to be promised in exchange for something. Info, did your ex know you were pregnant before he left? How long has your ex been gone? Also, what is the relationship between your ex and dad? Yes, almost 3 years. I assumed none, but my dad does business with his dad.